July 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Parker Planning Commission to order at 7:02. Would you please stand and join us for the pledge? Eric, would you lead that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Absent tonight are Elaine and Anthony. Seated for Elaine is Roxy. Seated for Anthony is Abbas. I'd like to, before we start the meeting, just ask that we all take a moment in silence and remember a longtime Planning Commission member, Mr. John Howe, that passed away 2 weeks ago today. And so let's just take a moment. Thank you. Are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda?
No, there are not.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from the June 24th, 2021. That isn't right, is it? Okay. Is that the right one? Okay, good. But I have June 24th. I know what that says. All right, to the meeting minutes from July 8th, 2021. Are there any additions, any corrections or deletions from that?
I have a minor correction.
Okay.
So present and seated have Susan, who isn't here any longer, and I'm not listed as present for that meeting.
Okay. We will get that corrected. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected?
I move the Planning Commission meeting minutes from July the 8th be approved with the 2 corrections.
I second.
It's been moved by Rich, seconded by Ruth Ann, that we approve the minutes from July 8th, 2021. We're still doing voice voting, so we'll just call the roll. Kim?
Aye.
Roxy?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ruth Ann?
Aye.
Abbas?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Chair is aye. Passes unanimously. All right. Next item is a public hearing on the Olde Town Filing No. 2 sketch and preliminary plan. And we will open that public hearing at 7:05, and we will turn it over to Stacy. Stacy, we're all yours.
Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commission members. This evening, the applicant is requesting a sketch and preliminary plan. I'm slow rolling it until this presentation comes up. There we go. For 122 single-family attached units with parks, open space and landscaping, and 2 commercial lots on approximately 15.369 acres within the Olde Town at Parker planned development. The site is located on the south side of Main Street between Jordan Road and Motzenbacher Road. The subject area is bounded on the east by the American Academy at Motzenbacher School and to the west by the Main Street Dental Plaza commercial development. To the north of the site is the Clark Farm single-family residential neighborhood, and to the south is the Olde Town, also known as Senderos Creek neighborhood, that is currently under construction. The Olde Town at Parker property was annexed into the town in December of 2000, and it came with a planned development zoning that provided for 5.5 acres of commercial and 595 residential units with trails and parks. In 2003, the PD was amended and the sketch and preliminary plans were approved that enlarged the commercial area to 13.35 acres. The residential development under the previous PD amendment was also reorganized to create a central park and community pool area within the Olde Town project. Construction of the western half of the PD ceased in 2008 with the economic downturn, but it has since been largely redeveloped. In 2017, the eastern half of the original development was approved for single-family detached and paired homes and is currently under construction. On December 7th, 2020, the Third Amendment to the Old Town at Parker Plan Development was approved to allow for single-family attached, also known as townhome, development for a total of 122 units at a density of 10 units per acre. The PD plan is shown on the screen. The red area is the area contained within the sketch and preliminary plan proposed tonight. The area highlighted in yellow is the residential area, and the area highlighted in blue is the commercial area. The proposed sketch and preliminary plan would allow for a total of 122 single-family attached townhome lots on 12.16 acres. Additionally, the plat will reconfigure 2 commercially zoned lots and reclaim 1.86 acres of the adjacent drainage tract through re-engineering. These 2 commercial lots and the drainage tract will be removed from filing 1 and replatted within filing number 2. Access will be provided through the site with the extension of Springfield Court from the residential area of Old Town to the south, through the development and into the commercial businesses. This is represented by the blue line on the map. Springfield Court from the north will dead end at the edge of the property, avoiding through traffic from Clark Farms. This is represented by the purple box at the top of the map. Internal private drives or alleys will connect the main through road to all of the residential units as well as into the commercial areas. All proposed streets within the Old Town at Parker filing number 2 sketch and preliminary plan will be private drives. These private drives will conform to the Town of Parker criteria, but be owned and maintained privately by either a Metro District or homeowners association. The development is required to provide 1.7 acres of park space. The applicant is proposing to meet this requirement by strategically locating parks throughout the residential portion of the sketch and preliminary plan. The development will include several park amenities to satisfy the required park dedication requirements. A 1-acre playground active park area is proposed within the center of the development and will consist of primary active play elements. What this means is playgrounds, workout stations. There's a play field along with a shelter and seating. In addition, the applicant is proposing a community garden at the northeast corner of the property. All additional requirements, including building setbacks, heights, architecture, landscaping, and design, will be reviewed as part of the site plan application. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that the project is consistent with the master plan. All platting requirements of the Old Town at Parker plan development and the land development ordinance have been satisfied. The proposal provides adequate access, infrastructure, drainage facilities, and design considerations. Utility providers have confirmed capacity and availability. All referral agency comments have been addressed or will be addressed at the time of the final plat. The public notice requirements have been satisfied. In addition, the applicant held a neighborhood meeting on June 1st of 2021 to just give a brief overview of the plans to the neighbors. Tonight, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the Old Town at Parker filing number 2 sketch and preliminary plan, subject to the 4 conditions contained in staff's report. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. We also have the applicant, Norris Design, here tonight. They do have a presentation for you and can also answer questions.
Questions for Stacy?
Not at this time.
No.
I have a question, Stacy. In our report here, it says that the private drives will conform to the Parker criteria and be owned and maintained by the Old Town Metropolitan District. But in their referral statement, they said they weren't going to maintain that they would be a sub-association created to maintain that, I guess.
Right. So it's a negotiation between the developer and the existing metropolitan district if they're willing to take on the roads and the new development. If they are not, then the developer will need to either establish a new HOA or metro district who will do that.
Okay, so that hasn't been determined yet?
It has not.
Okay.
I have a few. So there were a couple comments from the referral agencies. How will future buyers know that they sit in an airport path?
So Centennial
flight path.
Airport's comments, most of Parker actually sits within the airport influence area, and what they recommend is that the developer enter into an agreement that when you close on your property, it'll notify all of the owners through their closing documents that you sit within that area.
Okay, but that's closing. Are they going to be notified before closing? Closing is it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I also had the private road. So one of the fire safety's concern was with regards to the 2 commercial buildings. I'm assuming those are we're not looking at that right now because those buildings are or are not part of the sketch plan tonight.
So the buildings are not part of the sketch plan. The lots are. So what the sketch and preliminary plan is actually replatting those 2 lots for the commercial component. It's also re-engineering the drainage pond that's there and reconfiguring everything. That's contained in the sketch and preliminary plan. It'll also be contained in a future final plat. And then the 2 office buildings that are proposed to be constructed on those lots have been submitted as a site plan and are a separate application that's being reviewed right now as well.
And that's when fire and safety will review that?
Yes.
Okay. You had the traffic plan. You showed the traffic, and I was a little confused. Will that construction traffic come through the existing neighborhood?
There is the possibility that the construction traffic could come through the neighborhood, as that is a public street. The roads, we can request that they use the roads through the commercial area. We are evaluating that with engineering because those roads are also private, and so working through that.
Okay, so that'll be an internal Parker thing, because I don't think that a community who maintains their own roads should have a bunch of construction traffic they don't want coming through.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There were also a few concerns about fire and safety with the new designs. I'm assuming that fire would have made a comment. And then, again, Parker Water had comments on the office buildings, but we're not evaluating those tonight. It's just the homes.
Yes.
Okay.
The sketch and preliminary is just the start of the platting of the lots. They still have to do a final plat to actually create the lots. And being that these are attached townhomes, it does require a site plan application. Same with commercial development, it does require a site plan application. So all of the setbacks, building design, architecture, landscaping will be reviewed at the time of those site plans.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, does the applicant want to come forward? State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Bill Maher with Norris Design. And my
Welcome.
address for my office is 1101 Bannock Street, Denver, 80205. Thank you. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission and staff. We are really excited to be here tonight to present the sketch and preliminary plan for your approval. First of all, I'd like to thank Stacy and Brianna and Bryce for their assistance over the past couple of years on this project. We've actually been working on it for approximately almost 4 years. So we are, as you can imagine, glad to be here tonight and present this to you. Tonight I am joined online by the applicant and developer Brian Byler, the civil engineer David Kuntz with Martin Martin, and I'm here tonight with Dave Jenkins, my colleague from Norris Design, who's a landscape architect on the project, and the project architect Alex Duran is participating virtually, as is our traffic engineer Dave Rubles. Next slide, please. And next one. This project is more than just getting a subdivision approved. It's about partnering with the town of Parker, the homeowners association, the Metro District, and listening and working with the neighbors to improve and complete their neighborhood. As I mentioned, we've been working on this for many years, and we're very proud of where we're at with this project and the contributions we've done to help improve this overall neighborhood. As you see in the slide in front of you, we've had, just on this 12-acre parcel, over seven meetings of neighborhood outreach of various sizes, of coming down and meeting with a few folks to 20 or more, to making sure they're heard and we are gaining their input. As Stacy mentioned, the PD was approved in 2020, and we had a denial at town council of this project due to a previous land use of a multifamily condominiums. And so we recalibrated our application, resubmitted, and we're back here based on what we heard from the staff and the town council and the neighborhood. We had 2 meetings last October to reevaluate the plans then, and then resubmitted after that. And we're also want to show you tonight, we're implementing the previous commitments that the previous developer did not fulfill. And been working with the Metro District for a couple of years to make those happen. And this project is also improving the drainage for this area, and also with Clark Farms, we have an agreement with them to help improve their drainage as well. Next slide. And as Stacy mentioned in her presentation, the east half of the project was largely undeveloped and is under construction right now, and many of the homes are finished. And we're really quite proud of those homes out there. We feel they measure up to the quality that is expected in the town of Parker. And this just shows you the timeline of approvals. Largely, a lot of these homes are built out, and people are living in them. Next slide. So what this slide shows is our commitment to working with the town and the neighborhood, and to improve the neighborhood in specific areas. And I just wanted to go through the things we've been working on. Some of these haven't been specific to our development requests. They've come up as negotiations and requests at neighborhood meetings, or working with town staff, through, could you consider actually improving this area? That wasn't part of our application requests at various times. So we are proud to have the pool open that was completed last fall. We also added more landscaping to the park where the pool sits, and landscaping improvements throughout this neighborhood that weren't required as part of our original application in 2018. So we planted over 100 plus trees, added sidewalks in various areas to help complete it, and also made a connection to the school and worked with the American Academy on that. Next slide. And we heard from the neighborhood how important a pedestrian network is, and that's very consistent with what you see in Parker neighborhoods. It's a very walkable community, and we hope that's reflected in this project. That's definitely an underpinning design element that we wanted to see throughout the portions that we've completed and what you see tonight as well. Next slide. And this is just a rendering of the completed pool. Hopefully you've had a chance to see it this summer. Next slide. And some other neighborhood improvements. These are some pictures that were taken late last summer of the Motzenbacher medium on my right, and some of the improvements that were established in the Central Park. Next slide. And this just shows you the sketch and preliminary plat that Stacy went through. You can click through that one. And I just want to point this one out too. We are going above and beyond buffers on the perimeter of the project. Your town design guidelines require 40 feet buffers if a townhome is facing the perimeter of the property. And recognizing that, we're incorporating 60-foot wide buffers, and then that does not include the setback of the home as well. So they actually go to about 70 feet from the property line. And we've met with some residents that are adjacent, and they were pleased to hear this. Next slide. So in closing, how is this neighborhood furthering, past commitments and meeting the requirements of the town of Parker? Well, we are finally completing this neighborhood that has been undeveloped, half undeveloped for quite a number of years. We're consistent with the lots, setbacks, roadways, density. We're providing more open space and parks than is required. And it really speaks to a lot of your goals in your master plan, such as economic development, by providing an access road to the commercial area. My client has offered at neighborhood meetings to partner with those commercial businesses because he has two commercial businesses that are pending for this area as well, and wants to see those roads developed as well in the best form possible. So we're really excited to see this come to fruition and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from Mr. Mahar?
I had a question about the road system. I noticed that we have, it's not exactly clear what all the ingress and egress from the development would be from the pictures I've seen, you know, what it's connecting to in some cases because the connections aren't there. And also, you have streets and an alley. And I was wondering what the difference is. You know, it wasn't clear to me why some are streets and one is an alley. If you could explain that.
Sure, happy to. Stacy, do you mind going to your presentation slide? I think you have a good one that showed the road network. There we go. Okay. As Stacy mentioned, the blue, oh, no worries. She hate PowerPoint at moments like this. All right. As Stacy mentioned, the blue line represents the extension of Springfield Court. And the arrow on the bottom part of the drawing shows where Springfield Court currently stops. It dead ends at that location. And so there is no way for the residents within the Senderos Creek neighborhood that live, you know, south of the arrow, south of this property we're looking at, to go north up to Main Street, except they can go way over to the west and go around, if you roundabouts, get up through the townhomes and get up there. So this will give those folks a bit more direct route. It's always been laid out and planned this way, I think, in the master plan to have this connection, because Main Street is stubbed at the north end, and then Springfield is stubbed at the south end. And so this completes that connection. Originally, there was a plan to connect up to Clark Farms, where Stacy has the little purple dot, but after many discussions with staff, we felt that was not a good approach. And it was better suited to provide the connection to Main Street that would serve this neighborhood. And also, it would give this neighborhood that's proposed a direct access to Main Street. So they could get out to the arterial road and don't necessarily have to go south. So they have two options. And it also benefits the economic development of that commercial area because there's more potential there. There's still some vacant lots. And by providing these road connections, it'll open that up in a better way. And then your second question about the alleys and drives, the areas in yellow are simply private drives. I don't know if that's the nomenclature the town typically uses, or they could be considered alleys too, right? It's very kind of interchangeable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, some of them on the map had street names, and one was called Private Alley. So I didn't know why one would be an alley and the others would be streets.
So the street names have not been finalized yet. All streets in this development will have a street name, and that's for access. It's for fire access. All of the homes have to have an address. And so all of the alleys, streets will have street names. And they're still negotiating that with Douglas County to get those
Okay.
figured out. But yes, there's really not a difference between the alley and the street. The alleys are going to be a little different, as these are going to be alley-loaded townhomes, so you're going to see the garages. They're all going to have 2-car garages. They're going to be a little bit more narrow, but still meet fire department regulations.
Okay.
Yes.
So that on the north side of the property, that Springfield Court, is that then going to be stubbed off?
Yes.
Purple spot?
So where Springfield Court and that purple dot is coming in from Clark Farms, that will just be stubbed off. At initial review, there is a proposal to put it into a cul-de-sac. And it was a concern that people who live in the townhomes may use that for parking. And so we asked them not to put a cul-de-sac in and just kind of end it so that it didn't become a parking issue.
Further questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Maher.
Thank you.
All right, next on our public hearing, any further questions for Stacy? No? Okay, as it is a public hearing, we always are happy to take the comments of the public. If you wish to comment on this matter before us, you just need to step forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you have a 3-minute time limit. Hi there.
My name is Corey Wilkes. I'm a resident in Newtown, Sanderos Creek. I live at 17402 East Newtown Parkway. I am in favor of what Mr. Mayor is proposing. Before, we have a lot of traffic issues. We have a lot of parking issues. We have tight spaces. And, you know, their last proposal was rejected, which I was in favor of that last proposal being rejected. What it really came down to was I was just in favor that every house needed to have 2-car garages, or every house needed to have space for their cars, because it's really tough for our neighborhood. That's the biggest thing. There's more as far as, you know, when it comes to property values. What they had before, we weren't in favor of. We, as in myself and my wife, I'm very much in favor of this plan. It seems like it's a good step. We have single-family residences, and for them to go from single-family to townhome is good. I should say I'm a licensed real estate broker, and I was in the past a licensed appraiser, and so I speak to these things with a licensed background. Having townhomes next to single-family is very acceptable, and so, long story short, I'm in favor. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkes.
Thank you.
Are there any hands raised, Jeff?
No, Chair, there are none.
All right, then we will close the public comment part of the meeting. Any further questions for the applicant or Stacy? No. All right, then we will close the public hearing at 7:29. Commissioner discussion.
Well, my microphone's off. I really appreciate the outreach that you've done. It looks like usually when we see projects like this, we see adjacent neighborhoods chiming in a little more on the negative side. It looked like everything was pretty positive, and so I appreciate the outreach that you've done on all this. I've driven by that numerous times. I think it's a really nice looking subdivision, frankly, and I think you've done a really nice job. The medians, the improvements around there are great. So keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing the rest of the development come out.
I'll second what Kim said, and I'm in favor of moving this along to Town Council for approval.
I also am in support of the project. I very much appreciate your stick-to-itiveness, having been through denial and rethinking it and coming back and putting new pen to paper. And you've done a good job with coming up with something that is going to, I think, benefit the neighbors with the traffic, as well as provide some diversified housing in Parker, which is desperately needed. Thank you.
I have nothing to add. I'm in support.
Nothing to add on my side.
I'm also in support.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the Old Town at Parker Filing No. 2 sketch and preliminary plan, including the 4 conditions listed in the staff report.
I second.
It's been moved by Rich, seconded by Ruth Ann, that Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the Old Town at Parker Filing No. 2 sketch and preliminary plan, subject to the 4 conditions outlined in the staff's report. Looks like we can vote. Please indicate your vote on the screen.
No, with the mouse. There you go.
Okay, and the vote was unanimous, and it passes. Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any staff items?
No, Chair, there are not.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move the Planning Commission adjourn the meeting.
I second.
It's been moved by Eric, seconded by Ruth Ann, that we adjourn the meeting. Do we do a voice phone?
By acclamation.
Oh, here it is. It came up, yeah.
Yes, we can't leave. Right, yeah.
Eric voted to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you just have to go back to the agenda and click leave meeting.
Yeah, Eric was going to stay.
All right, now, this is how, now wait, you can't just close it. You have to go over here, and you have to,